Last week, I spoke about the changes coming to the Maker's Box. It's an exciting announcement, something that has been in the works for a while, and it's all thanks to you guys. So go give that one a listen. Now, in this week's episode, I'll be interviewing Jami and Zeb from Jami Ray Vintage. This is a husband and wife duo that has become an amazing team to watch. I'm sure many of you already know these two, and it's been so fun to watch their thrifting adventures where they each grab a cart and just pick. And then I love to see what each one finds and why they pick it, and then see the transformation of each of those items. I love Jami's vintage inspired style and just to watch her journey, which is so inspiring. We're going to dig into how she got started, what fuels her creativity, and what's next for her brand. And I'm so excited to get this one started, you guys.
Welcome to the Rescued and Upcycled podcast with weekly inspiration, tips on trying new techniques, and overall real talk about owning your own DIY business. Now here's your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock.
Welcome back to Rescued and Upcycled. I'm your host, Sonnet Ullenbrock. I want to thank you guys all for joining me on my podcast. If you are new here, I do interview creatives and other small business owners and just love talking about all things business. So I hope that I have been inspiring you along with my guest host. As I said earlier, today I'll be interviewing Jami and Zeb from Jami Ray Vintage. And I actually first met Jami at Debbie's paint inlay party, and I've been following her for several years and finally had the opportunity to meet her in person. She was super sweet and just as inspiring in person as she was on her videos. I haven't had the opportunity to meet Zeb yet, so this is a real treat having them both on the podcast. Let's give a big welcome to Jami and Zeb. I want to thank you both for being on the podcast. Let me bring you on. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's fun. I love it.
Awesome. Well, good. So for my viewers and listeners that possibly haven't had the opportunity to have found you yet, you've been around forever, it seems like. Tell us a little bit about yourselves.
All right. How to start? So I did... well, for starters, we've been married for 23 years now, and I did discount tire corporate for like 15 years of that. And we've been doing this together full time as
a decade.
The sole income for our family together for 10 years now in April.
Yeah, I have a mortgage finance background, and I did that for the first part of our marriage. But I think it really all started with us as a couple when we got married and we were broke. So we did a lot of upcycling to help create a home that we liked on a budget we could afford. Back then it was more like yard sales and painting with oops paint. And then I really started Jami Ray Vintage quite a few years before Zeb came on full time. He was always helping me after his job. And I had a couple other jobs as well while I started it. But we have 5 kids. And I think you have kids that do sports too, right? Yes. Very expensive. We had a small budget, and I never wanted my kids to miss out just because I had a lot of siblings. So I started doing furniture, trading, painting for dance lessons and dance fees. Both my girls did competitive dance, and then my oldest son played football and did competitive karate. And so I realized that I could make extra money that way. I started out that way, and then started selling on Facebook. Basically, when my second youngest, who's now going to be 14 this summer, he was about a year old when I really started selling it. So I've been doing it for quite a while. And it really started taking off. Then we started doing markets. And I took over a company that was putting on big markets, and I needed help. And Zeb was really frustrated with his job, and I needed to hire somebody. And he had, how long, like a year? You'd been asking to like come on and work with me full time. And I was like, no, we have kids, we need benefits, we can't do this.
Well, we were getting busy. Like I was working like my day job, right? And then I was coming home and working until 11 o'clock, midnight, fixing all the furniture that Jami was finding on the side of the road. And then I go to work. I'm like, listen, we can't burn it on both ends forever. Like we either got to jump all in or do something different.
And I was still doing mortgages at the time from home. I was doing pre-underwriting and processing on the computer. And then like while the kids would eat lunch, I would like paint a piece of furniture. And then while they napped, I would finish it and post it. And then usually it would sell by the end of the day. And sometimes he wasn't even home. Like sometimes he never saw the furniture. Like I would just buy it, paint it, sell it, and it was out of the house because we sold out of our living room before you ever got home. Yep. And I used to like take furniture and roll it end over end. I'm sure you've done that. to get it into the house, to finish it, because I had to paint inside because I had kids that I was watching. I actually sometimes part-time babysat for a few neighbor kids too while I was doing mortgages and painting and stuff. And yeah, it was wild. We actually had part of our formal living room that I did not keep furniture in, so that way I could store the pieces until they would sell out of the living room.
Wow.
So that was kind of the business before Zeb, and then it's been exactly 10 years in April that Zeb quit his job, and we've evolved from custom painting and markets to booth rental, which I swore I never wanted, to shop. I rented a shop, and now
Also swore she never wanted.
Yeah, I rented a shop and took over the business when we bought this house, actually. So Zeb was busy remodeling while I was starting the shop. And then it's been 3.5 years since we purchased the building, renovated it, and now we not only own our shop, but also the building. And then also, YouTube content along the way. We've been making videos. In August, it'll be 10 years since our first YouTube video.
That is amazing and crazy all in the same breath. Oh my gosh. So okay, let's take a step back to when Zeb came aboard, because that is one thing that I've been talking about with my husband. I want him to join the team and, like do like a husband-wife duo. But again, his thing is benefits and, having all of that. Was that a big hurdle to overcome, like once you looked into it?
Yes and no. I worry less about benefits and things. Unless it's broken, we don't go to the doctor. For me, Jami is the exact opposite.
I'm actually pretty good at
She's gotten much better.
One of the things because we did like just like major medical because it was so expensive. One of the things I got really good at was like, we had at-home strep tests. So if my kids, I thought they had strep, this is just like a random thing, but if I thought they had strep, I would test them before we went in because I did not want to pay for a visit if it was just like a viral cold that was going to be gone in a week. And I also really learned a lot about like basic nursing and medical stuff, like thank you, Google. And Zeb always jokes that I have a naturopath and a Walgreens cabinet in my bathroom. And I literally, my kids can say I have X, Y, Z, and I know how to treat that. And I've got everything there. So I think that was super helpful. We have since got full comprehensive medical care. We were much younger then, and my kids didn't go to the doctor for anything important, but we just learned to really
they weren't going
care
without.
for things. But as far as like retirement, like that was gone. He cashed out his 401k, and that's what we used to live on for like the first 6 months.
Actually, we spent most of it to buy into a paint line that we carried.
Yeah, we carried a paint line that is no more at the time. But since then, like one of the things we've done, which I really think is important for business owners thinking long term, is we've in the last decade slowly started to invest in real estate. Yeah. Like we're not real estate moguls by any means, but just buying on the side, in addition to what else we do, we own our house, we own a commercial building, and we own about 45 acres of raw land. And that's hopefully going to be long term, and then there's just some independent investments. I think it's important. Like you have to think ahead. There will be a time when you no longer can move ginormous pieces of furniture. As you well know, your back gives out and you need to like pivot your business into what works for your life.
Well, when we first started, I was 33 years old, sky's the limit. I could do anything I wanted. I could work for, 10, 14 hour days straight and not even care about it. And now I'm like, man, if it's like 10 o'clock, I'm like, I got to get to bed.
No, that's how I felt like last night when you sent me that text message, because we're an hour difference. I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I need my beauty sleep. So I agree completely. So prior to you actually starting this or knowing that, or, like starting the business because you're wanting to provide for your children, extras, did you ever in the back of your mind think that you wanted to be an entrepreneur and have your own business?
So my parents, my dad in particular he's always had a job, but through those jobs, like various different entrepreneurial expeditions, we'll call them, that don't always end up being successful for him. And so that's kind of like my background, my upbringing. My dad's kind of a jack of all trades, and my mom can pretty much do it all with him right there. And so
that was scary to think that it might not work. Huh?
Yeah, I'd had this job for working at Discount Tire for 15 years, and it was very secure. You know, it wasn't like the best pay, but it was every month, nice and steady, great insurance. You know, you showed up, you did your job, and, you know, easy. It was easy and comfortable. But I had missed a few promotions and felt like I had been skipped over unfairly, and it was feeling really corporate to me, and I no longer loved it as much as I had. And so, you know, we just kind of jumped in. When we first started, we looked at the numbers.
I think you have to take it back.
Oh,
I think you have to take it back. Let's take it back like just a step. I'm like, sorry to interrupt, but let me just give you from a wife's perspective. So he was the best in his region, in the state, at what he did for his company. He had the best numbers. His employees liked him. There was no reason that he should not have got promoted, except for the fact that he did not brown nose. Zeb is a family man, so he wasn't going after hours, drinking with the higher ups, things like that, because he works so he can be with his family. And I'm not saying that's not why they didn't hire him, but there were people getting promoted that had been demoted for dishonesty, that didn't have as good numbers. The managers above him kept referring him, and they were so shocked every time he got passed over. And it happened 4 times in a year. And he was super defeated. And as his wife, I was always cheering him on, like, you know, let's do good, you know, let's work on how you can, you know, maybe I'll buy you new shoes so you look nice, things like that, just to like help him with his career, because we're a team, right? And after it happened 4 times and my business got so busy, we prayed a lot about it. And the answer was like, he's not going to get promoted because this is where I want you to be. And when it happened, it seemed horrible. Like, why is this not happening? Why is this not happening? He's worked for Discount Tire for 15 years or something like that.
I was
like
a teenager when I started.
A million years. Why is this not happening? And now looking back, I know that God knew that we weren't going to do this if it wasn't absolutely necessary and we weren't pushed into it. And when we got the absolute confirmation that this was the right thing to do, that's the only business plan you need. And that's been our business, like, since then. The last decade has been like opportunity, be inspired, know that that's what you're supposed to do, pray about it, confirmation, and go. And that's just been everything.
Well, and a lot of things kind of just fell into place, right? Like Jami got that business that actually happened before I quit.
That happened right after Jack was born.
Yeah.
He was 2 weeks old when I started taking over the markets. I got a call from this lady. I was part of this group. And she's like, would you take over Reclaimologist and Other Crafty Chicks? I'm like, I have like a 10-day-old baby.
And that's a mouthful of a business name.
Yeah, I did not name it. We switched it to ROCC real quick. But I took over and he was literally like 10 days old. And I remember the first market, Zeb bringing him to me to nurse and like just spending the rest of the market with him, like nursing intermittently as it slowed down.
Well, I was still working. Like I worked all day and then like at night I would come and like bring all the stuff for the market because we had our own booth in the market. And then you're like, hey, market's done. So I came after work
and it's one thing to like
up.
to have a booth at a market and set up. It's another thing to have a booth and then actually run the market with about 50 vendors, taking care of them. It was insane. And I can't even, like now I can't even wrap my brain around doing it. But at the time it worked and it was the opportunity presented. And I couldn't pass up that opportunity. I didn't know that would kind of launch me and like help me grow. I just was like, this is a good opportunity. I'm going to do it. And ironically, the lady that gave me the business a year and a half previous to that, maybe, she was hot mad because we had designed a logo. I didn't even really know who she was. We designed a logo and apparently it was similar to her logo. And she demanded that we take it down. I'm like, Zeb has a background in graphic design. I'm like, my husband designed this. We've printed it on business cards.
I had never seen her logo before, ever.
Yeah, I had like pulled other logos, but not hers, and said, let's mish these together, and this is what I want it to look like. And she was hot mad. And back then, the industry was kind of small in our area, and so I was like, well, I can fight her and be nasty, or I can just be nice. So I was like, as nice as humanly possible, and I would like compliment her stuff and really just try to support her business. And then she asked me to be a member of the group and then eventually handed over the business because she's like, I can't do it anymore. And I don't think there's anybody else that can do. And it was her baby. She's like, I don't think they can do it justice. So isn't that crazy? Like, it is. I can't even like, I had forgotten about that until just now. But like my mom always said, like, kill them with kindness. Yes. And it actually really does work. And I wasn't faking it. I wanted to be nice, but I was like overly nice, like maybe more than I would have otherwise. And it really was helpful.
Yeah. Wow. So you'd no longer do that, correct?
No, we stopped doing markets.
So we actually switched that page. What is that page now? We changed the page because it was
It's our retailer page, but we don't really use it that much anymore because it wasn't growing. But we stopped doing markets when the big players started coming into Utah. I won't mention names, but there's some big markets that have a ton of money that they were able to dump into it. And also people started buying more online, like Facebook Marketplace, buy, sell, trade groups. And before, when we first started to do the markets, people would come up and like bring trailers to bring furniture home because that's what we were known for. And when people could start buying online, it just made it less special. And I saw my vendors not profiting as much. And something about me and about Zeb is like, if we are doing something for somebody or selling a product, we want to have value added. And I just saw them not making the money I felt like they should be making. And I just couldn't do the markets anymore because I was like, if you aren't as profitable as you want to be, I don't care if I'm making plenty of money. I didn't want to do it if my vendors weren't doing as well. And I just felt like they weren't. It had slowed way down.
Okay. So when did you disband that then? What year do you think?
Oh, I don't even know. Like before we started selling DIY paint.
I think it was like 8 years ago, maybe.
It was a couple years after.
She did it for like a year before I came on full time, and then probably for a year after. So like 8-9 years ago.
We actually have some videos way back when.
They're on the channel.
Like on the channel of like booth setup and how the booth went, how to run the markets. Because our YouTube channel has always been whatever we're doing for work, we don't make content just to make content. We make content about how we run our business. And if that's what we're doing for our business, that's the videos we shoot.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's what I typically do too. I try to bring everyone along as well. So that's definitely great. I remember one of the very first videos I saw of you. You were in your kitchen and you had a can of spray paint and you were spray painting something. And I am like, oh my gosh, if my husband saw me do that, he'd kill me.
My husband was filming.
Yeah, that was our very first YouTube
That's our very, very first. That's YouTube puberty at its finest. You know when you're awkward and you don't know what you're doing? Like that video, I actually was thinking we have our 10 year in August of when that first video came out. And I want to do a recreation and a reaction to that video because I think it would be hilarious.
It would be, because you should have saw my reaction, honestly.
No mask, like spraying in my kitchen, like what in the world? I feel like now we would get crucified for lack of PPE, and still we get comments on that video and I'm like, oh, it's a decade ago. I'm no longer spray painting.
Right. And I'm not spray painting in my home if I would.
Yeah.
Still painting right here on the island, just not spray paint.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's funny. That was your very first video and that you were taping Zeb.
Zeb wasn't on camera to begin with.
So I did not like being on camera at all. I don't like public speaking much and being in front of people. And that's kind of had to evolve for me. And actually our channel kind of really took off once I decided, let's just start doing live streams and, a video a day. And when we were doing, we decided... So to back up a little bit, we were doing like a video a week when we first got started, and we had like 60
or video every 2 weeks.
60 videos on the channel, and it wasn't really growing and it wasn't doing much. And Jamie's like, I was like, we got to push this harder, because we had neighbors that were doing YouTube at a very high level, very successful, and they're kind of like why we were like, because our channel's always kind of been like a DIY vlog of like our business and a little bit of our life. And we show our kids every now and then when they feel like being on. Every now and then they'll pop on. It's always if they want to be. But it was our anniversary, and we were up in Park City here, which is a ski resort town about an hour away. It's in the middle of the summer, so no skiing. But Jamie was like, all right, let's do 5 videos a week for a year. And if it doesn't go anywhere, we're going to stop doing YouTube, because it takes a lot of extra time.
And it wasn't making any money. We were doing a lot of custom work. Zeb was building farm tables. And my behind the scenes on that comment was, I thought, let's just kill ourselves, make 0 money, and then I can finally tell Zeb to put this YouTube thing to bed.
She thought I'd get worn out.
I was like, he'll get worn out, it won't work, and then we'll be able to like focus on what we need to, because I couldn't crush his dreams, but I just like, well, let's just see. Let's just see what happens. But what happened is our revenue tripled within a few months. And we also at that same time had just got a booth space. Like, I always say things line up. We got a booth space. 2 months later, Debbie asked us to do the first DIY boot camp with her. And then Zeb was doing 5 videos a week. So like while I left, he was doing 5 videos edited on his own, like making content and putting it up while I was gone. And then we started selling DIY paint, like everything kind of happened. So our YouTube channel, while it was like decent, I think we had maybe like 13,000 followers at the time, was still a pretty baby channel. And then it just blew up because we were creating content that at that time, there was nobody really doing that. There was Debbie and a few other people.
We made everybody in the industry mad at us because we were literally we like pulled the curtain off
we're
of
like, this is how it's
DIY
done. This is how you
furniture.
paint stuff. We weren't doing as much smalls, like thrifting as much, more like how to paint furniture. But there really wasn't anybody else doing that. And so people got really excited. And if other people that were doing it weren't doing it consistently, where there was tons of content that could be viewed.
Yeah, and after like the first year of it, I think we hit, but it was probably like a year and a half. We hit 100,000 subscribers after that.
Yeah,
like,
it was awesome.
That is so awesome. I know I just, I hit a milestone recently and I was like ecstatic because of my growth, but to hit 100, that's like a major goal of mine too. So I'm so proud of you guys. Where are you at now?
Oh, like 230? We're almost 230, I think.
No, I think we're over 230. I was just
It's actually
checking.
been slower growing because we've kind of changed how we did it. We've incorporated a lot of live
I feel like
streams
it's
and
harder
things.
for established channels to grow as much too. Like
Yeah.
they really push the new channels. So getting to 100,000, I feel like is
But we can't
easier.
complain.
We love
like
what we do. We're at
over the years.
almost 230. We're 229.
Yeah. Oh,
So after like that first like 2 years of YouTube, the ad revenue had completely replaced what I was making at the tire shop. So,
And subscribers really isn't as important as the view count. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize that. So for us, the big milestone was 50 million channel views, which happened in the last 6 months. I can't remember exactly.
oh, that's awesome too.
Yeah, that was fun. Because that to me means a lot because it's never been about like, oh, how many people are going to follow us? It's like, how many people can we connect with?
yeah.
And do something to help them, whether it's just entertain them, inspire them. We have so many people that have said, oh, I started watching you guys and I got a new stream of part-time income. I did a booth, whatever. Not everybody's going to obviously do it on the scale that we're doing. I don't recommend that for everybody. But when I find out that there's people that were in a situation where they needed more money and they learned some things from us and they brought in extra cash, like that makes me so happy.
Right.
Well, and when we first got started, we had a lot of people messaging us, be like, hey, thank you so much for doing this video. I had no idea how to like white wax a piece of furniture and you made it look so easy.
There was so much gatekeeping in the industry. That's also why we did it. Like when I first got started, people at markets, they wouldn't say anything.
Right.
They wouldn't say anything. And I was like, oh my gosh, we can help people. And also, remember when they would ask questions and I would have to write like a book? We literally first started making videos so that way I could just be like, here's a video you can watch.
Yeah.
It was like time saving for me to just provide them with a video instead of write them a whole book on how to do something.
Well, we were selling the paint we were using on the videos and they're like, well, I saw you use it, but what about this? And we actually had to ask the manufacturer of the wax.
Yeah, I didn't know how to white wax or anything.
How do you white wax? And she came over and gave us, because she just lives like half hour south of us here, and she gave us like a personal tutorial. And I'm like, I'm going to put this on a video. And she's like, oh, you can't do that. I'm like, why not? Why would I not want people to know how to use the product I'm selling?
Right.
Like that's, and anyway, I'm like, I'm going to put it on a video. I guarantee you we'll be like your #1 selling retailer in like no time.
We were.
And before long, we were like 90% of what her sales were.
Yes.
So
you walked away from that company and then went to DIY?
she went out of business.
Well, what happened is when Debbie came into our life is when that particular manufacturer really started having some struggles in her personal life, which trickled down into her business.
She had a lot of health issues.
And she
too.
was not thrilled. We had already carried Sweet Pickens milk paint because milk paint is very different than like a mineral-based paint. And she was fine with that. She was unhappy with us carrying DIY paint, but I was like, clay-based and mineral, also very different.
Right.
And she was fine. And then ultimately we wound up leaving because there wasn't consistency in her colors. And we just couldn't do it anymore. And she was unhappy, but also since then, because we've continued to stay friends, she's like, you were totally right to leave. Like my life was a mess. And they totally closed down within a few months of us leaving because we were basically the backbone of their business. But she's like, my life was a mess and it wasn't going to get better. And you would have been drugged down with what was going on. For us, again, it was one of those, we prayed about it because she was a friend of ours and we didn't want to make a decision lightly. And even though it was hard for us, we made that business decision and it wound up being good. And now she actually is a professor and she teaches diesel mechanics at a local trade school.
Really?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
just like
That is
180.
so
And we
different.
still love her to death, and she shares funny memes, and we're good friends. And I feel like that can happen with any business. Like you can discontinue a business relationship and still be ethical about it. And I feel like we don't have really many businesses where we've discontinued where we haven't continued a friendship. There's been a few businesses where we weren't actually close to them to begin with, so it was like a non-issue. But like even when we stopped, let's see, what have we discontinued? We stopped selling Paint Pixie. We're still friends with the manufacturer of that. We have no problems. Mara designed stencils for us for a while, but decided to go a different route, Mara LaFay, and we're super good friends with Mara.
Right.
So I just think, when you do business and you are doing it the best way you know how and you're honest about it, it's okay to end relationships, start new ones.
You just keep everything above board. Like there's nothing behind the scenes. This is what we're doing. This is why, people are pretty logical for the most part.
Yeah, and I also think it's really important, like if there is a part of a reason why you end, unless it's like super necessary for the public to know, I think it's important to just keep it minimal because when you dirty the waters for other companies, it looks poorly on you. Occasionally you have to stand up for what's right and make sure the customers know what's going on. But like even when we stopped doing business with Fairy Chalk Mother, we were just like very minimal. We're like, there was a problem with consistency, which was true, and a problem with fulfillment, and that's it. And we left it at that and moved on with our life.
Right. Wow. Yeah, absolutely. That is one thing that bothers me so much when other businesses bash other businesses publicly on Facebook. I think it's just so wrong.
It usually winds up being poor for them too.
Yeah, I don't know what they're trying to
wants
gain
that.
from that. Like
I don't
you're not
either.
like send a personal email or call them if you have beats.
Yes. You
I
don't
mean, there are instances where I get it, right? When it's been a really egregious offense. But even then, I feel like there's a classy way to handle it. And then there's a way that just reflects poorly on you.
Absolutely. Yes. So that was the next question I was going to ask you guys, but what were some, early challenges that you possibly faced and how did you push through them? That kind of was a big challenge. Were there any others?
So there were a lot of challenges. We had started the website probably a few months before I came on, and we had the one paint line on it, and that was all we sold on there.
We were happy if we got like 2 orders a month. We didn't ship. People just bought it online and
Facebook Marketplace was like a really big deal. So when I
it was
quit,
buy-sell trade groups. Marketplace was not a thing a decade ago.
That's actually true.
It was Vintage Yard Sale in Utah. And I actually was an admin on a local buy-sell trade page, a home decor yard sale Utah. I was an admin on there.
And those were cutthroat groups too. Like you had to, but we would sell stuff. Like that when Jami said we would sell stuff like same day, it was because people were on there like shopping all day long. But we figured out when I quit that we had to do $300 of revenue every day to pay the bills and cover our overhead and cost of running a business and things like that. And there were a lot of days we did not make $300 because that's, you think about that, you're like, wow, that's a lot of money, but it is 2 people's income. So like $150 a day. And
plus expenses and taxes and all. I mean, back then, at least we didn't have a lot of overhead. I feel like that's really important. Like if I could give anybody a piece of advice, it would be like, when you get started, unless you have a tremendous amount of capital, you really need to control your overhead. And as you take on overhead to grow, which is always necessary, you need to consider how can I back out of this if I need to, because that's always a distinct possibility. We did a lot of custom work. So I did the custom painting, Zeb did the building and repair. And if it was like a really neat paint finish, then that was a Zeb job because he's much more meticulous and patient.
That's where the markets really paid off because I would build a farm table for the market.
And then we would get
people
orders.
would see that, and then we would take orders. Before we quit taking custom orders, which was like 6 years ago now.
Yeah.
Something like
that. It was
that.
shortly after we started selling
we were like a waiting list like 6 months back on what Jami and I could produce. And we'd be like, okay, here's your list. I had a big old fat notebook that I wrote in. And I was like, all right, I took your 50% deposit that we're not going to refund.
This is when you're scheduled.
Because if you're on my list, you're bumping other people off my list. So it's not refundable. So if you decide 6 months from now when I'm finally getting to your project that you don't want this, like I'm not going to refund that because someone else would have.
And we didn't have a warehouse. We had a garage. So it was, this is when you can drop it off. This is when you must pick it up.
And we were painting people's pianos and furniture out of their houses and things like that. And they would bring it to us or we would go pick it up. We would deliver and they would bring it to us. I mean, we had our oldest was like 12, 13 at the time. he was helping me move pianos. That kid was tough.
Yeah, he was a beast on the wrestling mat for moving pianos. He'll tell you that. But it was really critical that we ran our business that way. And when we were making enough, really what happened is, like we told you, we started taking off on YouTube. We didn't realize it. Like, we never created content and thought, we'll show people how to use a product and then they'll buy it. It literally was like, this was before influencer marketing was even a thing, really. I was like, we're just gonna show people because I want them to know how to do it and then hopefully make some ad revenue. But what happened was, people were like, oh, I want to buy these. And our website, we used to go from like 2 orders, 3 orders a month to, we had 4 or 5 a day, then we had 10 a day. And so I was doing a lot of shipping. We converted a room into that. And when our YouTube revenue and our online revenue got to the point where we no longer had to do custom work, I was never so happy to say bye, Felicia, in all my life. Because it's hard.
Custom work is super hard because you're doing stuff like that they want. You're not doing the finished work you want. And so, someone wants like this cherry antique piece of furniture that's been handed down from the generations, and it's cherry and bleeds like crazy, and they're like, paint it white for me, and I don't want
minimal
any
distress. And I'm like, have you seen, finally we got to the point though with their custom work where I'd be like, have you seen the way my finished work is finished, like at markets? This is what you can expect. If you want something that's not this, you should go to the furniture store.
We did start turning down quite a few jobs if that's what they wanted, because we're like, we have to set expectations, because I just can't spend a week making your one piece look perfect and then still have it not actually turn out because it's 130 years old.
I want customers to be happy, right? Like, you want them to be happy. And I'm like, if I can't make you happy, please don't shop with me.
Right.
Like, because I don't feel ethical about charging you for something you're unhappy about, but also I don't feel ethical about me working and you not wanting to pay me. So we need to make sure that this is good. But I was super happy to just do what we wanted to do. And that was like,
well, that freed up a ton of time. It freed up so much time because we were still like, we were running the website, shipping. We were doing what we call just-in-time shipping because we didn't have like a big, like, wad of capital in the bank. We would sell an order, and then we had a little bit of paint on hand, but a lot of times we would order and be like, hey, I need you to ship that order out because I got to ship it out.
Well, I would just order twice. So like, because you have like a 50% markup on paint. So whatever, this is before Caitlyn came around. Whatever people ordered, I just ordered 2 of it. And that's how I built up my inventory.
Okay.
And that is not a way, I did not keep track. It's not a great way. But that's what I could do and manage at the time. And we had a spare bed. We actually finally got to the point where we had to have help shipping. And we had people that we call them the shipping fairies, and they would come in at night. Like Zeb and I would be sleeping in our bedroom, and next to that is the spare bedroom, then my daughter Eliza's room, and people would come in and ship, and we'd wake up to all these packages in IKEA bags that we would have to take to the post offices before I knew they did pickup, and then I would drop them off the next morning. And we would literally be sleeping while somebody was shipping.
Wow.
I mean, there were people we knew and trusted.
So Jami mentioned Caitlyn. She's Jami's niece. She's worked for us for about 8 years now.
Yeah, she started out as a personal assistant. She's never worked on site. She's always worked from home.
She was just part-time. She did come ship if we were really busy. Yeah. Had like a sale.
She still does occasionally come in, and when push comes to shove, it's all hands on deck.
But she now lives about half hour away, and it's been fun to kind of evolve that. Like, we're to the point now where we're able to give her like, she was like a song and a prayer when she first came. Like, there was some times I'm like, all right, we got to pay Caitlyn and then we'll pay the mortgage because we got to pay her first so she can pay her mortgage. But it's evolved now that we have her like on an actual salary, and it's been so amazing to just be able to help her support her family because she works from home. She has 2 little boys. Her husband works full time at a different job, but she's able to do that and just like do whatever she needs. Like, she's almost self-employed. Like her schedule
she's not self-employed, but her schedule is really flexible.
Her schedule is so flexible because like we talk about the shipping ferries. She'd be like, hey, I got to go to this field trip with the kids, so I'm going to be gone like middle of the day, but then she'll work until midnight.
Okay.
Or she gets up early in the morning.
It's just been like a really super great, flexible, like family but business relationship. I've never been able to work with any other family member as well as we have with her. It's been amazing. Awesome. And she's been on long enough now that like we can take trips and leave, and she can run things because I would have never thought when we got started doing this 10 years ago, like we've got a shop, we have 5 employees, like Jami and I don't work hours at the shop.
No, we've never worked. That was my big thing. When we first took over the shop that we were at before, because the owner decided to go out of business and I didn't have anywhere else to sell my stuff, I told Zeb, I said, if I ever have to work a scheduled shift, then I am no longer going to do this because it doesn't make sense to me to do that because then the rest of our business will suffer and that's not what I want. Now, do we cover at the shop? Absolutely. Like if we need to, we cover, we go in and ship when things get busy, things like that. But there's no way that we would be able to create the content that we do, plus be present for our family. I feel like that's something, I don't know if that's something you wanted to talk about or ask us.
Absolutely, because I'm struggling with that myself, like, because there's only me. So I'm finally bringing on an employee. So yeah, let's talk about that.
That's like a big step to bring on an employee. Because one of the things when I quit was like, it wasn't just about the business. Like it was, the tire shop was open 6 days a week. We had Sundays off like every week and a rotating day through the week. And so I was missing like dance recitals, all the football games, the baseball games.
Yeah, I would take all the kids
to
Harrington's football games and I would nurse Jack under a poncho and be running up and down the field, yelling at Harrington, like watching the other 3 kids to the side, and he wasn't there. He was not there. I mean, he was there when he could be, but
I'd like take a long lunch to try to catch a game if it was on a field close to where I was working or something, and then I'd be in trouble because I took too long,
So I think that's always been part of it. Like we never wanted to work so much that we missed our kids' things. And we will tell people, like we actually get asked, you probably same thing with you, as we've grown, people ask us to do things like events and whatnot. And it's really hard to say no because I love people so much. But I have to remember that my kids are only this age for this time in my life. And having 2 adult children now, I have a 23 and a almost 20-year-old, well, almost 23 and 20-year-old. So I've already raised them, and just seeing how fast they grew up, I just want to make sure that we're not.
Well, and in seeing how fast adulthood is going, like our oldest is living 5 hours away, going to nursing school in Jackson, Wyoming, and we actually have never been up there to see him. He comes down because it's just one person. But like we're like, all right, next phase, like how do we retire from this?
Yeah, we just bought a camper because Jackson's really expensive to rent. Jackson Hole is just crazy. We just bought a camper so we can go spend some time with him, and then we're gonna go junking with it this summer. But our business has always been around our kids' schedule. Like our Saturday night lives are at 8:30 because when we first started them, Jack was a baby and we would put him down at 8, and by 8:30 he was sleeping, and then the big kids didn't have to watch him and we could go live. Our Waste Not Wednesday is because Wednesday mornings typically are a little bit more open and we could go live and do it that way. And we do a lot of we don't do Friday night lives because our kids play football. Friday night's big.
Lights.
Friday Night Lights is a big deal.
It's like a whole thing. We don't miss games.
We plan our trips to England around when we can miss the least amount of games possible. The fall is very busy for us. So like our anniversary falls in August. We might go away for an evening, but whenever we do something big, it's always January because that's before state tournaments for winter sports. I mean, I feel like most sports parents, theater parents, whatever, like that's how we run our life. And so we do say no to a lot of things that probably could make us grow even bigger, but you have to ask yourself, like, am I living to work or am I working to live? And for us, we're working to live. And sometimes we have to say no to things, but no is a full and complete sentence for me.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there have been people that like continually like try to pressure us. And that's a really good way to get Jami to just stop responding to you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, like once she tells you no, like that's what she means. And like if she says yes, then we're in.
So many people are so gracious about it, especially when you explain why you can't do it.
Yeah.
And we also have a lot of our following that are like, we'd love for you to do retreats. We'd love to do this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, I can't do that. And I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm not positive that when all of our kids are grown, that we'll be able to either, because we have 5 kids and we're going to have grandkids.
Right.
Like full-time grandma. Like
you don't already, right?
No.
Oh.
I could. I have 2 adult children.
Right.
But I plan on I've already told Zeb, like, you need to save a spot in the yard for the grandkid playhouse. And like, I'm fully prepared for that stage of life. And I want to live it. Like, why in the world work so hard to not enjoy the best things in life,
right,
which is family?
Family. Yes, absolutely. I know I agree completely with that. And I find it has been a real struggle like that and separating. I love that you guys have a separate space for your business. You have the church that you purchased, right? That's where everything is.
I mean, we still have, right, if you saw on the other side of this, my thrift haul is over there.
Okay.
I do photograph that at home because we haven't finished our studio. But part of the reason we still do things at home is also because my mom, we care for my mom. She's 85. She lives with us.
Oh,
I used to be with my mom and my dad. My dad passed away a few years ago, and he was pretty medically, like I used to do a lot of things with him. My mom was a little bit
You had
less.
to check several things through the day with him.
I had to monitor and do his vitals and things like that. But so my mom lives with us. She's 85, and we have 2 dogs. And so we try really hard not to be gone from the house an extended period of time. And also, we just like to be home.
Right.
Like our daughter comes home for lunch. She brings like 50 teenagers with her, and we're here when the kids get home from school. Some days we have to say, hey, friends can't play. We got to finish working. Right. But other days, if we're done filming, we might have a pool full of kids while we're painting something, or Jack's in the front playing baseball with the neighbor because we live really close to the school. And
okay.
Yeah, it just kind of works.
Yeah. Yes. Eventually, I would love to have like a studio on my property, like a big studio. I do have like a little studio where I do some of my filming, but a big studio where I can like have all the shipping and receiving out of. So
my best recommendation on that is keep it as close as you can, because our shop is pretty close to our house, which is it worked out amazing. But we're not traveling like next town over to go get to it. But I will say this. It's like 2 yards to mow and landscape, and I got to go over there if it snows. I mean, we could pay someone to do this, but I got a tractor, so if it snows, I'm plowing, things like that.
We're still really hands-on. Like, I mow the lawn. I ride we have half acre at our shop, and I mow it on the riding lawnmower while he weed whacks and things like that. But I feel like it's a trade-off. Like,
if there's a leak in the roof, that's me.
Maintenance man, Zeb. I think eventually we may get to the point where we have like somebody that helps maintain properties. But at this point, I feel like it's important for us to be prudent, right? So the things that we can do, we do.
Yes. So tell me about the purchase of the church and how you found it, how you knew it was the right thing to do, and then the transformation of it.
So it's a big, beautiful, it's the oldest standing, it's an LDS church that was built in 1894, and it's the oldest standing church building left in Utah County. They've knocked all of them down. Oh. And like either sold the property or rebuilt other churches where they were, that sort of thing.
I think it's important to say that our area was settled in the mid-1800s. Yeah. So 1850 is about when churches started being built here. Yeah. And our church was built in 1894.
So, and it's right off of State Street. And so we've been driving by it for years, just like, man, who has that building?
Somebody lived in it.
Who is doing that? And it looked like no one was really doing much with it, right? It had a yard and the grass was getting mowed, and you'd see cars out in front occasionally when you drove by. But it had been deconsecrated in 1955, so it was no longer a church building, and they sold it. And this family that we purchased it from had been there for 60 years. And they'd done a bunch of renovations and rebuilt it. And it wasn't for sale when we were looking.
When one door closes, another door opens. So we told you that we had the shop where we were renting from the other person. Yeah. And the landlord had always said, you guys can buy this shop. He gave us a price, and it was a really good deal. And we had started to work with a company to try to figure out how to finance it. Commercial financing, I won't go into details, but it's like the wild, wild west. I have a mortgage background, and I still didn't even understand what they were doing. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll work on getting this pulled together. And then he had somebody else that came in and offered him more money, and he wound up selling it from underneath us. Oh. And I was devastated.
And then we had a new landlord.
Yeah, we had a new landlord who had basically taken our property, didn't realize it. And the building was great, and there was a building next to it. We had already worked out like how we were going to make this work for our company.
I was going to have like a beautiful wood shop right next door.
Yeah, we just really had it planned out. And then 2 weeks later, I was driving past the old church that the Lambs lived in, and I felt inspired. Jami, you need to buy this building. Mind you, it's not on sale. It's not for sale. We have no idea who owns it. We work fast. Like, I call Zeb and I'm like, we're supposed to buy that building. Like, I get chills thinking about it. I'm like, I don't know how, but we're supposed to buy that building. And so I looked up the owners And I contacted my real estate agent and I said, I'm going to try to contact them. And she had helped us buy this house and I will see if they'd sell it to us. And I texted him and it took a few days and he got back and he said, yeah, I'd love to meet you guys. And then we met him and he told us a price. It's no secret, it was $750,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but real estate in Utah is really expensive. It's a half acre and it has a total of 5,000 square feet in the shop.
At the time, I'm like, wow, that's way out of our ballpark, but actually a really good deal as far as like what the building
we knew
is.
We had looked other places and they were all well over $1 million. But the problem is it was not zoned. Okay, first of all, these people, it was not on the market. They lived there for 60 years, but they felt inspired that we were the people to buy it. So they're like, we'll work with you. But it took us months to get under a contract, so we didn't say anything for months.
We started talking to them in February and we closed in October.
Yeah, we didn't get a contract until April from them. And it was not zoned commercial. For whatever reason, they had like done a Sharpie mistake and it was half zoned mixed use, which you can use commercially, half residential. So we had to, they were like, you can buy it, but we're doing nothing. We're not fixing anything. We're not changing the zoning. We're not paying for your real estate agent. You know, you have to do all that. You have to figure out the financing. And anyways, so I actually spent that entire summer figuring out how to zone. Like I just went to the planning and zoning and I said, this is what I need to do. Please tell me what to do. Mm-hmm. And I had to go to meetings and they were happy for us to do it. They didn't have any problems, but you had to go through the motions. And then in the meantime, we were trying to get commercial financing. We had to provide all of our financials.
Have our life history.
And I thought with an SBA, we were going to be able to just do closing cost. And then I found out in the middle of summer, we were going to have to come in with $100,000 to close. $100,000. And mind you, we're still growing our business. We had just finished this house that we paid cash for to do the remodel, and we had just taken out some of that. And we were able to get, because we did everything on this house ourselves, we had a tremendous amount of equity plus the marketing went up. So we were able to get a home equity line of credit. And then we were also able to use capital from just the business growing. And we came up with, in a matter of a few months, $100,000 to put down on it, and it was crazy. I remember up until the last minute, because it's all manually done, the underwriting, it's not like on a computer, there's not like a matrices telling you how to qualify. Up until the last minute, not knowing whether or not we would get approved. And then you also have to get approved through the SBA.
The bank manager came to our shop and toured our inventory. He wanted to know how much it was worth.
How we made our money.
All kinds of things.
And he was a decision maker too. So it was crazy. It was crazy, but we closed in October. They did not move out until November. We actually helped them move out because they were taking time.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we closed in October. It was still November. I'm like, hey, I got to start renovating this because I'm paying a mortgage on this building now. We got to get
We had a mortgage and rent, and then we could not rent.
They had an apartment building built inside of where the old chapel was, where our showroom is. I had to gut that, run electrical, we had to do HVAC, and I'm like, I can't sit on this thing for a year.
We didn't start it for 6 months because
I know.
We were under contract with a production company that was trying to pitch a show to HGTV and Netflix. And we were not allowed to touch the main building for months. So we renovated the little cottage in the back and did some basic clean out and moved our stuff into the barn.
Okay.
But we couldn't get started until March, when they're like, well, we could continue pitching you to these networks, but we understand that you can't wait forever. And then we moved in August. So we had from March to August to renovate, get in and get out of our other property because
was so hard to wait.
Our lease was going to be up. So crazy. I can't, now I'm like, why did I do that? Why did we sign with a production company? I think it was the allure of not having to edit content.
Yeah.
Not having to edit content, that's really hard. I thought, well, maybe we could make less videos. We could have a network show. But fun fact, the production company, it was Jeff Jenkins Productions, I'm pretty sure we can say that. They actually produced the Mom Talk show on Hulu.
Okay.
Have you heard of that?
I haven't.
It's scandalous. It's the Mormon Housewives of Utah type situation. I'm not even sure exactly what it's called, but I'm so glad that we did not sign with that production company. Not because I begrudge them producing that other show, but to me, it's just not very classy.
We don't like to give up that much control.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, what if they took our stuff and put it out a different way, or I'm just glad that it didn't work out. It's been good.
Yes, what if they did a really weird spin to it? I never even thought about that, but
Yeah. I mean, I don't
And
know
then
how
you're
they
under
would-
contract and you're
I
like,
think really what happened is we just weren't juicy enough for them.
we were too vanilla.
Joanna Gaines, their
Like-
production company, Magnolia, I guess, they actually said that we were too much like Chip and Joe. So it would be more of a competition.
yeah.
And they like to do things that complement, which makes sense.
We're fine.
Yeah.
You know,
All's well that ends well.
social media has been amazing for us. Our YouTube channel is doing, we feel like it's, you know, we're not like at 1 million subscribers, but it's getting a lot of views right now, which is just awesome.
And we
it's
have
helping so
control
many
over it.
things.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can be like, all right, today we're going to go thrift over here, or we're going to go over there, instead of having like someone have to like follow us around and film us and do that stuff.
And people don't realize like how fake reality TV is. Like even they did a sizzle reel for us. So sizzle reel is what they use to like promote you to the production companies,
was
and we
not
provide
good at
them.
it.
Yeah, we provided them footage to use in it, and then they totally added things that were not even our building to the sizzle reel, and like to spice it up to like promote us to these people. We also had the same like producer try to come up with shows for us to do that weren't even what we really do. Like remember when they wanted us to do like mobile home trailer
We were going to
flips?
have to leave for like 6 months to film the show, like leave the kids and just
And
be us out there. I'm like,
I still
can't do
totally
that.
love Russell, like the producer that we worked with. He was super nice,
hilarious.
and his production company is great, but it was just like so weird. And also too, like you make no money. Like it usually costs more money for the first season of any new show that comes out for the person doing the show. People don't realize this, than you actually make, because you have to get things done in such a short amount of time. And so you have to hire people, you have to get help, you have to meet those production deadlines. And everybody that we've talked to, because we know other people that have done shows, are like, yeah, you make zero money. If you get picked up for their second season, then you start to make money. And then all your other social media suffers while you're doing that first season. So I'm glad that it didn't work out. And I think if we were ever to sign on, there would have to be like a, hey, we have to keep our YouTube growing. I actually am excited because there's that new Chateau show on HGTV. And I noticed that they're continuing to put out content on their YouTube channel in addition to having a show on HGTV. And I think the networks are finally figuring out.
They signed their contract right.
They're finally figuring out that people are going to want to continue to promote themselves on their social media channels and YouTube. And then they got to work around that. So that's good. I'm glad that the things are changing.
Absolutely. So quick chat about thrifting, and how did you guys start doing you each grab a cart and go thrifting separately? Like, did that
I
happen?
don't even know how it evolved.
I think that's just like how it happened. Like,
Okay.
you know, I went,
We had been doing like Saturday night. We would go thrifting on like a Friday.
and we didn't
Random
really
day in the week.
film
And then
thrifting.
And then Saturday, we would start selling the stuff, and none of it was even on the website. Caitlyn was getting emails from people or messages, and then she would invoice them through the website, and they would buy it, and then we would paint it how they wanted, and then we'd ship it out. And
We
it
were
was
just
like
showing people what we were
that
doing
was
for
a
our
lot.
booth. Remember? Like, that's what it was. We were just
Yeah.
doing smalls for our booth. That's how it started. Like, this is what we bought this week, and we're just going to paint it. We used to actually paint on Saturday nights, which we don't do anymore. People are like, I remember when you used to do that. I'm like, listen, I am 40 now, and I don't want to stay up till midnight cleaning up a paint mess. Like, I don't mind going live and showing stuff, but like to actually be working on projects at 8:30, 9:30 at night on Saturday nights, just not.
But we started thrifting because we got that whole store over there
Yeah.
when
We had to fill it up.
when we got, and we didn't have we had furniture, and we had a few little things that we would stage on top, but that wasn't necessarily even for
It
sale.
wasn't enough. We needed more products, and
Yeah.
it just evolved. I guess that's how thrifting happened. And then I started seeing other people doing like thrifting videos. There was like the crazy lamp lady, and while we did a little bit of it, I was like,
We never showed the actual thrifting.
yeah,
before.
we just did straight up DIYs on our channel. I'm like, that's kind of fun. Like I do this anyways. Why? You know, we said we like always film what we do. I'm like, we're doing this. Let's film thrifting. Let's just do that. And at the time we were doing like big furniture projects every week, and that's a lot of work. And also the big furniture has slowed down here at least. And so why would you make a video about something that you don't really have anywhere to put? So now if we paint furniture, it's because something has sold and we need to replace it in the shop. And that's the only time we do furniture videos. We don't do furniture videos just to paint a piece and throw it in the barn for no reason. And we sell a lot.
There's no room in the barn.
Yeah, we sell a lot more small items in the shop and online. And then like when COVID happened, everybody wanted to shop online. And that's when we switched, because we're like, all right, Caitlyn cannot spend all day Monday invoicing people and emailing back and forth. We'll just list everything before we go live, and they can buy it as is, or we'll say will be painted. And then they take it how we get it, which people are still shocked that people will buy stuff before we paint it.
I'm a little shocked too.
But they don't have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they could wait, but there's only a limited amount of stuff that we paint. Not a lot of creators that like make as much content as us are still selling the products that they do. So I think that's kind of unique. And so people want to buy it, and we're always very polite. Like you get what you get.
We don't do custom work anymore.
We don't do custom work.
Yeah.
So occasionally people will email Caitlyn and say, hey, can you do it this way? And if it's what I wanted to do with it.
And if we haven't already painted
sometimes we
it.
say no. That's not what we want to do with it.
Right. So, actually, on the podcast, I interviewed my husband, and I asked my viewers questions that I should ask him, and one of them was, would you ever go thrifting with Sonnet like Zeb goes thrifting with Jami? And I had to explain to him who Jami and Zeb are. But he's like, oh, maybe. So has that been a hard transition for you, going from tires to thrifting and picking? And how do you know it seems like you pick things very differently than Jami. So, I mean.
I do. So Jami is all about the aesthetic and what it's going to look like in the shop, and will it match our brand? And I'm like, well, that looks kind of neat. I'm going to get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I spent, hats off to my mother. My mom loves to thrift and yard sell and antique stores. And so I spent my childhood being drugged to, weekend yard sales and thrift stores. And, when Jami met me, we were in high school. I was wearing a thrifted shirt and a thrifted beanie that I had on. It was at a football game. And I had the shirt was from a yard sale. And she's like, what on earth are you wearing? I'm like, listen, don't worry about it. It's old. I love it.
I started shopping for you when we started dating. Because I was like, oh, this poor guy, he can't afford clothes. I yard sell too, but I never bought clothes there. Like at that point, I was just like 17 years old. And I had my own money, had a job, so I would buy him. We lived in a small town. There wasn't a lot of places to shop. What was that store that we shopped at? They had like a skateboarding brand. Zeb's been wearing, you'll see he's wearing Volcom. He's been wearing the same brands for 25 years.
I don't skateboard though. I just
he doesn't
like
skateboard.
it. They're comfy.
But
they make good clothes.
People always ask, they're like, why does he always wear these shirts? I'm like, he's been dressing the same for 25 years. Hurley, Volcom,
it's come back
Quicksilver. Around. He never changed. The styles changed. He didn't change, but now the styles have come back and he's in vogue.
So all that to say, my mom has prepped me for the
Antique
thrifting
stores.
life and antique stores.
Got it. Awesome. Are there times where behind the scenes, or is it all on camera? Do you ever go, Jami, do you ever say to him, absolutely not, you are not taking this home? Or is it legit all on camera? There are times I'm actually watching you and I'm like, Zeb, no, do not take that. If I were Jami, I'd be telling you no.
So Zeb has his own, I'm gonna answer this one.
Okay.
Zeb has his own Zeb Ray fan club. So I have to be very careful. We've been together for 25 years. Nobody, there's not one human that walks this earth that is more important to me than my husband. And we get along really well. I feel like people ask us if we fight off camera. That actually, no. Our kids will tell you, they're more likely to say, you stop kissing than say stop fighting, because that's just the way that we are. And I'm not saying that we never disagree. It does happen if we're hungry or tired. But yes, there are times when he has stuff and I'm off camera, and I never do it on camera because, again, Zeb Ray fan club, people would crucify me, that I will say, if you want to buy it, that's fine. But I really would prefer not to put that in the shop. And sometimes he'll say,
we have a shelf upstairs that it just lives on the website, but never makes it down to the floor.
It's bringing down the brand. That's what Debbie Beard says. I don't know that she could work with somebody telling her what to put in the shop. It is hard to combine things. And ultimately, it does need to look aesthetic in the store. It can't just be random.
It doesn't happen that often. Usually it's something old that's more on the industrial side, and I might have a use for it, or I might throw it. I get, because when we go to Europe, I'm always getting old hand tools because I love them.
Great.
And they've got them. They've got tonnage over there. They're just giving them away. I'm like, well, these things are amazing.
But maybe twice a month, there's something that I'm I would really prefer it if you.
And usually I do a makeover, and she didn't know what I had planned because I didn't articulate that well, and she'd be like, oh, well, that turned out better than I thought. I'm like, see.
But there are things that when he buys them, I'm like, I am not painting that. Like that is going to be a lot of work, and that's not going to be easy.
Was it the velvet rabbit that I thrifted?
Oh yes,
the
orange velvet rabbit. Oh
and
my
then we went to
gosh.
paint it, and the velvet was like clumping and sticking together
like
weird.
poo.
I ended up just putting so much product on there that it just looked like a piece of cement rabbit by the end, but it took hours. Like I think we sold it for like $28
We did not.
or
We
something
made
like
50
that.
cents an hour on that.
And I had worked on it for like 4 or 5 hours.
Somebody had bought it already. Like, you know, we put will be painted. Somebody had bought it, so we had to finish it regardless.
So there are some things.
Yeah, there are some things. And I eat my words a lot. Like sometimes I'm like, I'm absolutely not going to paint that. But like if it needs to be done, and there are some things that like only Zeb can do, right? Like he's the maintenance guy. So if he gets busy doing something else, it's okay, fine. I'll bring this in. But most of the time I'm like, listen, it could be midnight and you're going to have to paint that. Because I am always thinking when I'm shopping, like, how long is this going to take me to make over? Is it going to be profitable? Zeb and I and you and a lot of other makers out there, we can make almost anything better. But should we? Like, is it worth our time? Should we be continuing to perpetuate the situation? Like, there's just some things that we need to just be like, nah.
There was a box.
Nuh-uh.
There was a box recently, and it just kept falling apart on me. And we just called it. We're like, you know, we're gonna have to just message the customer, refund them, and just walk away.
We're like, we can't fix this. I mean, it does. There sometimes comes a point when you're like, I just can't make this over. And people, you know, it's funny. I don't know if you have this too. People have a lot of ideas for you. When they know that you can do stuff, they're like, you should do this. And I'm like, I could.
Right.
A lot of family.
I'm not sure that I should.
Right.
Like, why aren't you doing this? Well, because we're tired.
I don't want to. Like, I'm self-employed because I'm self-employed, right? Like, I don't want to be you employ me. I'm self-employed.
Right.
So if I'm ever at a situation where I really hate what I'm doing, that I feel like that's when we pivot. Like when we no longer want to do something anymore, that's when we're like, okay, how do we get out of this and make up that revenue elsewhere?
Right.
Because it's just, you can't work as hard as you have to work as a self-employed person if you're doing something you absolutely hate. Like eventually you will burn out.
Oh, you'll burn out so quick. Like CNC, for example, I have some cutting boards that people love that, you know, the CNC is awesome and it's paid for itself 10 times over and it's an amazing machine, but I have to babysit it and I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
So eventually I will get back to it. There are projects that I love doing on it, but when it's like production and I got to make 30 of something.
Yeah, I don't want to be a sweatshop.
It's like, oh, that's tedious.
Yes. If you guys could go back and, you know, in the early days of Jami Ray Vintage, would there be something you would tell yourself back then that you know now?
Start social media and run with it harder and faster.
I'm going to say no, because I feel like if I knew where I would be now, I might not have done the things that I did to get where I'm at. Does that make sense? I feel like there's synchronicities in life that happen because they happen. And if you know ahead of time that something's going to turn out a certain way, you might miss out on the opportunity to grow from something else. So I'm going to say I would just be like, just keep going.
Yep.
Just keep going.
I think you learn from all your experiences. So, and
you either grow from it, or you learn from it, or you help somebody else learn from that. Like not every struggle you have in life is meant for you to grow from, but sometimes somebody else has to grow from it, and you can't remove that opportunity from them. So I don't think I would have wanted to know, because I feel like there's some things I probably wouldn't have done, but I needed to do so I could grow from them.
There are not many things that I would change. To be honest, the timing of some things could have been better. Like we got the shop right after we had finished this house. This house still has got a lot of things not done on it.
Well, we bought
and now we got a shop that's like needs a ton of stuff done on it because it's 130-year-old building, you know.
We took over the lease 1 month after we bought this house on the other building. And I'm like, what if I knew that was going to happen and then we didn't buy this house? Because I knew I was going to take over a shop. Like logically, it would have made sense to not start a renovation when you're also taking over an entire shop space and now running a retail store. But had we not bought this house, then at the point when we needed to pull equity out to buy the shop, we wouldn't have had equity to pull from, right? Like that's what I mean. Like I feel like there's things that like, if you know something, you might not do something else, but then you miss out on something really beautiful.
There was a quote It was on a mug from yesterday's video. It's like a Thomas Jefferson quote. I can't even remember it verbatim, but
Luck happens when you work hard or something.
the harder, it was something along the lines of, the harder the work, the luckier it seems I am, or something along those lines. And I'm like, I love that, because that has been the one thing that Jami and I hands down would not change. We don't take breaks. We keep our foot on that gas pedal, and we're consistent every week. Like, sometimes people, if I'm late with a video on Monday, if it's like past 4:00 and I don't quite have it edited yet because we went a little long thrifting, or the kids needed something and I'm a few minutes behind, we will start getting messages. Hey, where's the video? Because we're so consistent with it that people are like, where's the Monday video? What happened? Is everything okay? And even our dog got hit by a car the other day, and we had like 2 hours before our Saturday live stream that we do, like, almost like it's a religion. Like, we don't miss.
We didn't know if we would be able to go live or not.
Anyway, we ran him an hour north to the animal hospital. They're like, we're going to keep him overnight. And then we came home, set up the live stream, and we're like 10 minutes late and did the live stream.
Oh my gosh, you two. That's dedication.
That's what our business has been built on. And
Well,
I
we
think
only
that's
did it
why
because Cody was taken care of, right?
Right.
Like, if he had still needed us, or
Yeah.
if he would have come home with us and we were caring for him, that would have taken priority. But logically speaking, he was in good hands. There was nothing we could do.
Right.
And this is really important for our business to do it. But, like, mind you, it was a crazy weekend. It was Easter weekend, and we were hosting.
I was in the middle of
We're
the
in the
kitchen
middle
renovation.
of our kitchen renovation that we just finished. We gave ourselves a week to do. We had company showing up the next day from out of the country.
Our son Redrick comes running into the house crying. He's like, Cody's laying over on the side of the road and he's bleeding. I don't know what happened.
It was
I didn't
insane.
see it.
And then I had to, like, set up. We, like, finished our video. We got it all put away. It's like 11 o'clock at night. I'm setting up Easter for the kids. And then the next morning at church, I do the primary music. So I'm the chorister for, like, the little kids, and they were singing for Easter. So, like, we just had a lot of things that we had to do that weekend. But I feel like when you put in the effort, Heavenly Father makes up the rest. He knew that this was important to us. And while that was tragic and hard to deal with, he gave us the ability to pull it together, do the live video that we always pray, like, please help us to be able to do the things that will help our business.
Right.
And help our family in turn, and also allow us to do the things that we do for service. Like, Zeb works with the youth at church, and I lead the music for the little kids. Like, we need to be able to do these things, but we can't do it alone. And, like, whenever you do everything that you can, then the rest is made up.
Right.
And I know everybody has, like, a different faith system, but for us, that is how we live our life. The Lord appreciates effort, so you do everything you can, and he always makes up the rest. And I feel like part of that is mental fortitude. I know there's a lot of people that emotionally could not have gone on camera, but we've been doing it so much that it's just very natural. And the people that we're talking to, they're our friends.
Right.
Like, we want to spend time with them.
Yes.
So it was very comforting. Like, my dad died on Thursday, in 2 years ago. It's been almost 3 years. And we went live on Saturday, and
That's also weird timing too. It was
Yeah,
her
it was
40th birthday.
It was my 40th birthday, a week before we were supposed to do our grand opening of our shop, the commercial shop that my dad had helped us with.
Yeah.
And I just told people in the live video, I can't talk about my dad. And everybody was really respectful. Like, I was sad that he was gone, but me not going live and Zeb not going live, like, I would have just been sad, and then I would have not been able to do what I need to do for my business. And, like, my dad has always been, and I still believe still is, a huge cheerleader of our business. I remember he was really upset when Zeb quit his job because he thought, you got to do what's, we actually didn't tell my parents for 2 months because I knew that they were going to be upset at us. So we just waited. But he was such a huge impact in both of our lives, cheering us on. And my dad was a self-made man. He did not graduate from junior high, couldn't read, couldn't write, lived in a tent at one point, and he just continued to work hard. One of the things he said, he's like, make as much money for somebody as you can and hope that they share. And ultimately, he wound up being a self-employed general contractor and worked his way up. And I was a late life baby. He was 49 when I was born, so he was kind of in his second act of life. And I was able to watch him just work really hard, and my mom, helping out and, like, working really hard. My mom would help clean the houses and things. And so we both had, I feel like, really good examples of parents who did what they had to do and prayed a lot and then just went with faith. And I feel like that's how you do it.
Right. That's amazing. I love it. So what's next for Jami Ray Vintage? Any new projects, dreams for you guys that you have in the works that
So we have a lot of irons in the fire all the time.
Yeah.
You I'm sure you know.
I know.
You're always chasing something and you hope it sticks on the wall, and what doesn't stick, you start something different and new, because you got to stay motivated and excited. I really love like building, working with the land and things like that. So we have done, and the shop probably started it, because when we started renovating that and doing that, I'm like, man, this property in a year has already appreciated quite a bit. It's, what better investment could I put my money in? And I'm not saying that's for everybody, but for us, we started investing in like raw land.
Right.
Like nothing on it, no building. Some of them are out in the middle of nowhere. They're like the cheapest pieces of dirt we can find in the middle of nowhere. Can't hardly get to them. But we've been able to sell a couple for quite a bit of profit with not much work.
We sold one.
Okay.
Well, yeah,
We sold one. This is like a
We have another one for sale right now.
JRV Properties is a very baby company. But
Yes.
what happened is we took some money from the Jami Ray Vintage, and we bought a little piece of property, and we spent 2 days out there with the tractor, did dirt work, and we doubled our money, pulled out our initial investment, bought another piece of property that we went from like just under 2 acres to then we bought 5.5 acres that we still own, almost 6 acres. And it's actually, that has doubled in money, but that we now own like free and clear because we just took the profit from that and bought that. And then we also purchased, it's been two years?
Yeah.
2 years ago, we bought 40 acres, half hour out of town. That's been another story, but that's kind of like our long-term investment, because it's only half an hour from where we live. We know the city will ultimately like develop there, but we've done some dirt work there, and we're hoping that eventually that will be something that we can sell for a profit.
It scares Jamie because I could spend my whole day on a tractor.
Zeb owns a very large, very nice tractor that he moves dirt with, uses at the shop. He moved my stove out of the back of his truck
and
with the tractor. Yeah, we use it a lot for property development. It's probably oversized for what we actually use on a regular basis, but it's fun. And
I don't think we'll ever stop doing the model we have now with the thrifting. I think that'll continue.
we're junkers. Yeah, I love it.
Like we're going to, my mom's turning 70 and she lives in Alabama, and we're going there in a week and a half, and we've already like got a little map of all the places we can thrift from the airport on our way to her house.
Yeah, we're flying Southwest, so we have 2 free bags, and we're gonna pack in our carry-on and bring home as much as we can in 4 large suitcases.
I love it.
And that's fun, right? Like when you came from California, I remember you bought a bunch of stuff and took it home.
I did. And I got stopped. So be prepared. Well, you guys I did a carry-on though. So I got stopped and they had to check my carry-on, and I'm like, oh my Lord.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay.
There was one time we were coming home from
France,
and I had like this antique old pewter something
17th century pewter wine.
It was like from like the 1600s or something. It was old, and they're like doing metallurgy tests and stuff. I get put into secondary of security, and I'm like, guys, I'm gonna miss my flight. Like, leave that. You can keep it. It's not worth me missing my flight.
He always gets put in secondary. Like even when we were dating, and I grew up next to the border, and he got put in secondary when we were leaving Mexico. We got tacos at like midnight the night before he got married. There was the IOD stamps that they had to check.
No, it was the clay packs.
Clay, they thought it was for bombs or something. Air dry clay.
They had done, it was at one of Debbie's boot camps, the DIY boot camps, and
Jolly and Josie had product they were selling.
The IOD sisters came and they taught a bunch of stuff, and they sold a bunch of product while they were there that they had brought, because they were just getting started too.
They were new. They had just left Prima, so they were trying to hustle.
And they had all this air dry clay left over, and we were retailers of theirs, so I'm like, I'll just buy it and take it home. We got it here. And so I had like 4 big old boxes of that in my suitcases, and they're like, is this for like making bombs? What is this?
Yeah, for like seafood or something. I don't really know how bombs are made, but yeah, they thought that.
Anyway, we had to get some supervisors and some managers. They tested that too.
There was a Bible that like we brought back from Kobe's once that they had to check. It was like in my backpack or whatever. So there's been a few times that junking has kind of like held us back, but it's always kind of entertaining. Mm-hmm. And last time we got back from England, the customs guy is like, that's a lot of luggage. I'm like, it's just junk from car boots. He's like, proceed.
Yeah, he did not want to look. It was
He
like
did
literally
not
like
want to.
6.
And, you know, we didn't lie. It was honestly like that's what it is. We do ship, like when we're in England, we ship home boxes. Like
Yes.
it's literally like shop all day, ship all night. It's work every day. It's hard doing business in another country. It's not like the US at all. And people always ask us, they're like, you should do buying trips. And I'm like, I will probably never do that because it is a nightmare and you never know if stuff's actually going to arrive alive. And I don't want to be responsible for somebody else's stuff.
We did entertain getting like a big Sprinter van for a while and doing thrift tours here in Utah, but that ship,
We thought better
I
of
think
that.
that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
We're still too busy with the kids and everything. Like our youngest is 10, our oldest is 22. Like we're still in the middle of it.
But it's the thrill of the chase. Like every Monday morning I wake up excited because I'm like, what am I going to find today?
Right.
And you never know.
You don't.
And it's like gambling.
Yes.
It's like addicting. You're like, I can make a lot of money.
Do we have a gambling addiction
I
problem
do.
with thrifting?
I do.
I do too. My heart races when I'm standing at the door of the bins when I'm like, okay, what did they put out overnight? And then I run in. So
You have to remember to be nice.
Yes.
And I usually am. It was half off at Goodwill last week and I was just grabbing stuff really fast. I didn't grab from anybody because no junk is worth throwing an elbow over. But people are like, that was really hard to watch because Jamie was like speed grabbing. I'm like, it was half off day.
Right.
I was really excited.
They had good stuff out.
I do. It's funny because I was telling Zeb yesterday, I said, in my mind, things are happening in real time. Like, it doesn't seem to be fast.
But then she watched the video, she's like,
And then I watched the replay and I'm like, take a breath, Jamie, take a breath. It'll be okay.
Yes.
Seems normal for me when I'm filming, but then I watch the replay and I'm like, is that on 2 times speed?
I know. I have to always remind myself because like they make us stand behind lines and then they let us do the new carts or the new bins.
The new bins.
And I'm like, don't run anybody over. Don't run I don't want to hit anybody's feet, but like run into their feet. So I'm always trying to be really cautious.
So how do you film? Do you use your phone or do you?
I use my phone, but it's really hard, especially for the new bins because it's a free for all. People are not nice in our bins.
No.
They
I
aren't.
feel it's not too bad, but they are usually trying to get clothes. There's like one lady, we call her, we're like, she's in teenage terms, she'd be our number one op. Okay. Which is like your number one opposition. I don't know if your kids use that phrase.
Yeah.
She's really good at finding quilts.
She finds the same stuff that we like.
Okay.
And she sometimes will give us side eye, but we're always super nice to her. But yeah, but mostly they're not really buying the same stuff as us.
Yeah.
And we just, yeah.
Yeah. And exactly. A lot of people aren't, but they still want to get to those bins. There's a couple that I know are trying to look for the same stuff that I am. But what I do is I go around real quick one time, grab it and then I go around a secondary time because then a lot of people have left the new bins. And
they churn it up.
Yeah.
You know what I did one time, and she's been a lot nicer since. So we grabbed for the same quilt at the same time and she gave it a little tug. She was like, I'm going to take this from you. And I was like, here, you can have it. You grabbed it first. And since then, she's been nice to me.
Oh.
Yeah, and what I'll do too is if I have the other day I had a pillow sham and somebody else had like a quilt that matched the sham. And I was like, these need to be together and I will do that. One time I grabbed a brass duck. We did a video on it, but I grabbed a brass duck and somebody else grabbed it at the same time. It was not the bins. It was off a cart at the thrift store. And I had a good hold on it and I had it. And this lady goes, that was mine. Like she yelled at me and I was like, what? Like we both grabbed it. I had a better grip. I wasn't pulling it out of your hands. It was literally the same time. And I'm holding on to it. All that I could say. We'd been having, behind the scenes, we've been having some family stuff that was really difficult and we'd been railroaded. And I won't go into detail about it, but it was really difficult. And all I could say was, nah, that's all that came out of my mouth. Zeb was like,
I was like
2 aisles over.
Yeah, 2 or 3 aisles over. I'm like, what just happened over there?
And I just put the brass duck bookends in my car and I left.
Very
and she's
out of
like
character for
yelling
Jamie.
at me. And I wasn't rude. I was just like, I am not going to be taken advantage of today.
Right.
Like clearly, we both wanted it. I didn't throw elbows. I literally just went to grab it as she did. And I was closer and had a better hold of it. So I had it in my hand. Like it was more mine than it was hers because I had a hold of it, right? Like it's not like I pulled it away from her or threw an elbow. Like if the same thing had happened and she had wound up with it in her hand, I would have just been like, whatever. And if she had been nice and if she had said like, you know what, I really wanted those bookends. I would have been like, here you go. Because I do it all the time. Like if the cart comes out and I'm grabbing something and I see somebody else is grabbing that, I will say, would you like these? So that way they can be together. Mm-hmm. And people do the same thing for me. But if you demand, like nobody puts baby in the corner. Right. And I'm the baby of my family. I'm like, if you demand that that is yours, especially on a day that maybe I haven't eaten breakfast and I've had a rough time, like, no, I was not, that day, it was not happening. Right. That's the only time it's ever happened. And we thrift a lot. So.
Yeah. Yeah, we I've never been in any altercations. There's been just a couple people that they're regulars and they act like they own the place. And so I just kind of like blow them off. Like they'll like spout things off to different people and I'm like, why? Be kind. I don't understand why, like.
That's not nice. We all got to work together. And do you ever have people that are like, they know that you do YouTube and so you see them talking about you?
Yeah.
That happens a lot here. And there are actually thrift stores that I don't prefer to go to in the morning when I know there's going to be people there. Cause I'm just like, I don't need that kind of negativity in my life. Yeah. Like if you want to be nasty, be nasty to yourself. Like, why are you being mean to me? And what I do for a living, like you can do the same thing. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it stems from like jealousy, right? Like what we do, it's a hard industry, you know that. Mm-hmm. A lot of people fizzle out, they don't last. And people see that you figured out a way to not just do it, but to be profitable. And they're upset about that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And you're the same as us. You share everything. Mm-hmm. So like you're keeping any secrets. So if they wanted to do what you did, they could.
Absolutely. But I've recently received some negative comments about that too, about how I'm making money doing this. And I'm like I'm taking like this stuff that has been donated to the bins or donated to Goodwill and I'm taking it from a needy family is how they like portray it. And I'm like, I could do, it's buy, sell, whether I do it wholesale or I do it at Goodwill. I'm still thrifting. I'm still paying for it. I haven't stole anything because that was
there's plenty.
What was that?
There's plenty.
Yes, there is plenty. And it's going to go to the landfill if like once it gets to the bins, that's like the last hope for it. People, And
they're rolling those bins out when they do those cart changes. They're like half full, 3/4 full, and they're taking them to the dump.
I know.
Well, and nobody's going to die because they don't have home decor.
Right.
Like nobody, like no needy person is like, I needed that rabbit in my life. And like, I don't know about your thrift stores, but people that watch us regularly, I'm like, have you seen the shelves? They're stocked to the max all the time.
Yes.
All the time. And a lot of it, like we shop at a thrift store called Deseret Industries. They want to sell as much stuff as possible because what people need more than junk is they need money. Mm-hmm. They need utilities paid. They need help in job training. They need food. And what Deseret Industries does is they sell this stuff. They employ people. They do on-the-job training and they donate everything. It's 100% charity. They donate. And people in third world countries don't need Nike shoes. They need money and they need to understand how to clean their water and how to grow their business and all of these things. And that's what these charities can do. They can't do that with junk on their shelves. They can do that with money in their pocket and then they can buy the things that people really need.
Right. Absolutely. I just don't understand people when they like the mean comments that sometimes, I'll get like 1,000 good comments and then that one mean comment will sting. And I'm like, let it go, Sonnet. Let it go.
It digs at you, right?
We had some digs yesterday, so I get that. Sometimes I don't care, but yesterday I was like, I'm going to the shop. I need to go grab this thing. I'll be back in a minute.
Well, and then every now and then it'll come from like someone that has commented a lot, and it's like you've created a relationship with them, and then all of a sudden they're still. For them, they're on the other side of the keyboard and they'll just like spout off, or maybe they're having a bad day, right. And you're like, ouch, ooh, why?
Yeah. Somebody told me I wasn't Christian because I bought a pair of shoes yesterday, and I was like, ooh, I bet somebody could use these. And I'm like, oh, they're my size. Maybe I'll keep them, and I'll clean another pair of my old shoes and sell those instead of selling these ones. Right. They're like, what would Jesus do? That's not very Christian. I'm like, just like. I just told
I got a pair of shoes for myself.
I'm like, you don't know what I do and do not give behind the scenes. Zeb and I love people, and I'm not going to toot our own horns, but charity is really important to us. We donate monetarily every week, and we donate to like local youth sports organizations. We donate our time, all kinds of things, and we do a lot of things. We just don't talk about it. And I'm like, the only person who knows what I do charitable wise really is God. And I'm okay with that. So sorry that I'm keeping these shoes for myself, but I'm also not going to feel guilty about it.
No, you shouldn't. And you shouldn't have to explain yourself. My husband says that all the time. Like, you shouldn't have to like explain what you do. So yes, because you
but
know.
Sometimes I feel like you have to, because people that are rude, if nobody ever tells them that that's not okay, I'm not worried. Like, they're really ultimately not really hurting my feelings, but I would feel bad if they continue to have that poor behavior their entire life and nobody ever calls them out for the other people that they're hurting their feelings.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
Eventually you have to stand up for what's right. So every now and then.
We try to be pretty good. We usually are like very positive, and but every now and then you catch us on the wrong day. We'll be like, listen.
I know.
Listen, Linda. Or you block them from the channel.
Yeah.
You hide user, which means they don't know it and they'll continue to comment, but nobody will ever see it. We call it the trap door. It happens like probably a dozen times a week.
That's a good thing. Hide them. Yeah.
Hide user from channel.
Yeah. Well, I had a reel recently, and it's almost at 1 million views, which is like,
ooh, that's awesome.
I know. I'm like watching it continue to tick. But there was one lady, and let me tell you, I did comment back to her, but I didn't even have to because there was so much interaction. I left it because so many people were coming after her, but she didn't like my voice. She told me, the comment was, "Your voice is so annoying." And I'm like, do you realize I'm from the Midwest? This is how a lot of Midwesterners talk. And anyways, so at first it did bother me, but then I'm like, after I saw how everybody was going after her, I didn't even have to. So
isn't it great when like they attack you personally like that, and it's like something you have no control over? It's like how you were born.
Yes. Well, one lady then commented, "Maybe you should consult a voice coach." And I'm like, a voice coach? You think I'm investing in? This is how I talk. I don't think that even a voice coach could change me.
And you shouldn't be changed.
No.
I love your voice.
Right.
I love listening to you. And you know what? For every person that doesn't want to listen to you, clearly there's 1 million that do, because that video took off. We had one video, like, it's always the random crap that takes off.
Yeah.
And I did a reel of us. We make a snack mix or just a neighbor gifts every year. Like, one year we gave them cheese graters and candy.
It's
and
always around like Christmas time.
It's like what people do in Utah. And you don't just do it for the people that live around you. You do it for your whole area. And I do it also for people that I don't know. And I don't care if they throw it away. It's just so that way they know somebody's thinking about them at Christmas time. Mm-hmm. It can be a really hard time of year for people. So we bought like a bunch of stuff. We put it in tubs. And I thought, well, let's just film. So I literally, no plan, just clipped it. Little clips of Zeb making this snack mix, assembling it. Oh my gosh. It had over 2 million views on Facebook, and people went nuts. And there was multiple platforms that did a lot, and we still get comments on that. Some people love it. Some people are, I don't like that many of my neighbors. Some people are like, you're killing you do even like your neighbors? You're killing them with all those phosphates or whatever. And I'm just like, they're like, what if your neighbor has this or that? And they don't realize it, but we actually do have some neighbors we know with special dietary needs, and we actually make them something special. Aww. If we're aware.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's a 1 minute video. I can't tell you everything about it, but yeah, people are wild. People are wild. And you know, I don't care, because we actually made thousands of dollars off of that video, and I shared some links for the tape and the boxes that we used. We made thousands of dollars from that, and I was like, you know what, next year I want to do something even more fun for neighbor gifts. I didn't intend to make money off my neighbor gifts. I just decided to film it.
They're going to start getting better and better stuff. These
but I
videos
thought
are
next year,
in.
I'm like, what if we do like golden tickets and we put like money in some of them? And then, because they're not like personalized, so they get them at random, and they would have like a golden ticket with money in there. Like, how fun would that be?
That would be really fun.
So that's what we're going to do next year. There's going to be golden tickets.
Ooh, teaser. I like it. Awesome. Well, I have kept you guys. All of a sudden I looked at the clock. I'm like, I could talk to you two like all day long.
I feel like we just scratched the surface.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, there was like a ton of questions I wanted to ask, and you guys are very interesting. I'll have to have you back again.
Well, this is really fun.
Yes.
We can do a segment just on thrifting in England. How about that?
Oh my gosh, yes. Let's schedule it, because we didn't even get to talk about that, because that was my husband Craig, after he found out who you were, then you showed up in my feed when we were watching on YouTube, and he's like, there's Jami and Zeb, and they're like, that was when you did your video, and he actually watched it. So
nice.
It's a lot of fun. It's hard to get away, because when you own a business, getting out of the country is not an easy task, and with kids and stuff, but it is fun.
Yeah, I can only imagine. But I do want to thank you both for being part of my podcast today. And I just love that my viewers had the opportunity to see how amazing you both truly are. So thank you, thank you. Do you want to let everybody know where everyone can find you? I know like Facebook, YouTube. Are you on any of the other?
We're on Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok.
Okay.
Instagram, and then online we actually do have a blog people don't know about, but our blog is on our website. So JamiRayVintage.com is where we sell our wares, where we have the blog, and then every platform is just at Jami Ray Vintage. The diehards also know that we have an at Jami and Zeb YouTube channel and Facebook page that we don't do a ton with currently, but
it's been neglected.
There are some little Easter egg gems on the at Jami and Zeb. And if you want to get real crazy, I have one channel where I show you how to make biscuits and gravy, and it's cooking with Jami Ray.
Really? I didn't know about that.
One video, so there you go.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, it's old. But yeah, Jami Ray Vintage.
She's got the best one-liner. If you go, I'm not going to tell you what it is. Go watch it.
Go watch that video. Yeah, look up Cooking with Jami Ray, Biscuits and Gravy. The video should pop up. It's not got a ton of views. But
she said it on the video when we were filming this Biscuits and Gravy video. I'm like, I'm going to have to cut that out. I can't leave that in the video. But I left it. It's there.
Okay.
And it's very true.
I'm going to have to watch it today. So you'll get a new view of today for me. So awesome. Well, thanks, guys. And in next week's episode, we're going to be diving into mindset shift. That a mindset shift that can completely change how you grow your business and show up in your niche. How can you stand out authentically, collaborate instead of compete, and build a brand that's magnetic without comparing yourself to everyone else in the room? Mark that one on your calendar. Now, you guys, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you guys don't miss out on an episode. And then remember, you can find me on all the other platforms like Facebook and Instagram at Sonnets Garden Blooms, where I post a lot more content over there. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.